Hey yo guys, I'm back here to give you my thoughts on last night's ShoMMA show, the Strikeforce show that took place on Showtime, obviously, as well as some thoughts on tonight's Ultimate Fighter Season 9 live finale, where really no one really cares that much about the TUF fights, and it's really all about the Guida versus Sanchez, as well as Diaz versus Stevenson fights. That's just my opinion. I didn't think the season was that strong. Only maybe a guy or two are going to be successful coming out of this show. I don't know how well those guys would even last in the UFC. Probably be moved down to WEC, which probably in the long haul is the best for them. But we'll see how things work out over time. As well, give you my thoughts on the Dragon Gate taking over Ring of Honor's pay-per-view time slot, or not time slot, but their pay-per-view deal with G-Funk, since ROH and G-Funk left, or parted ways, I should say, as well as maybe the Raw angle with Trump buying it, and how some of the internet sites that report news, like Entertainment News, or even an MMA site reporting news that they claim to be credible, have now lost all their credibility, in my opinion, at least. And as well, maybe the Crow Cop situation, with the UFC, and now going to Dream to fight on Dream 10 to take on Mighty Mo. But anyway, to the show that took place last night from Seattle, which was ShoMMA. I gotta say, I really enjoy these. It's a good way to build up some fighters. It worked well when they did ShoXC on Showtime, so I like it as very much. So it's good for MMA to have something like this. Boxing has it with ESPN Friday Night Fights, and Wednesday, and they also did that as well. But still, that type of deal. But anyways, we started things off with Luke Rockhold versus Corey Davila, and really it was just a shot that knocked down Davila, and it was just raining down punches from up top. And then I thought they should have stopped it earlier than what eventually happened, where Rockhold got a rear naked choke, got the submission victory. I thought the referee could have stopped this fight way sooner than that. It should have been a TK victory for Rockhold instead of a submission victory, but that's what have you. I mean, definitely Davila took like 3 shots that more than he should have to the face, unprotected, mind you. He wasn't covering up or anything. It was just, the side of his face he was getting wailed on was just completely open. No hands, no nothing protecting him. And ref didn't stop it. I had a big problem with some of the reffing on the whole show. That's maybe a gripe, but we'll see. That's just my gripe there on that show. But yeah, that was the fight there. Rockhold looks really impressive, and should probably be on a Strikeforce show itself, not just ShoMMA. Maybe an opening bout or something on Strikeforce. I don't know, but I think he's definitely primed and ready to go for a main card. Then we went to the women's bout, which actually was a really impressive bout when you looked at it on paper, and when it happened in real life. It was Sarah Kaufman versus Shayna Baszler. Real good fight here. Baszler definitely won the first round. I mean, she got a takedown, more so of a trip. She had a north-south choke applied. Looked almost dangerous there that Kaufman could have submitted. And, she pulled on another attempt. She was working rubber guard, what have you. But then, she looked... I mean, the thing with this fight was, it was the first female fight to go 3 5-minute rounds, which, was good, but because, they announced it for the Carano Cyborg Santos fight, that, these ladies had to, adjust to that, and, obviously their bodies, or at least in Baszler's case, wasn't ready for that, and that's just an unfortunate thing there. She was still in the fight the whole night. She couldn't really, she was really in the third round. She tried for a takedown, but just looked like didn't have enough energy to pull the takedown in. Kaufman won. She kept the fight standing the rest of the night, for the rest of the fight, and got a unanimous decision victory, a well-deserved one. 29-28 was on my scorecard, and was on one judge's scorecard, and the other judge scored at 30-20. The other two scored at 30-27. Then we went to the next fight. This was a definite fight of the night. It was George Gurgel versus Connor Hume. Fight. I mean, this is just a stand-up battle. I mean, both guys love to bang, and they did bang. Let's just put it that way. You know, Gurgel looked like he was dictating the pace, you know, coming forward more so, throwing a lot more punches. But Hyun was still game. I mean, Hyun took some amazing punches to the face, and he took a vicious head kick to the head, and he just was able to stand like nothing. Absolutely nothing. Hyun had some nice shots of his own. He eventually got a takedown in the third round and, you know, applied some submissions. Nothing dangerous enough. It was just enough for him to win the round. But because of Gurgel being, you know, a veteran and dictating the pace and having the more effective shots, I would say, or more effective looking shots, and the more, just the fact that he kept dictating the pace, and were cleaner shots. I mean, the shots that Hyun put in looked nasty because in the post-fight interview, Gurgel's face looked like hamburger. Still a great fight. I scored this one 29-28 Gurgel. One judge did as well. Another two scored at 30-27. Or 30, I believe so, 30-27. Yeah, both of them scored at 30-27 as well. But another good fight. Really good showing there. A good thing to have there on ShoMMA. Then we went to the next fight, which was Nick Thompson versus Tim Kennedy. Nick the Goat Thompson really wasn't looking forward to this fight because he had to fight it at middleweight. He likes to be at welterweight. This fight was a good ground battle in the first round, let's just say that. They both, you know, traded positions. Actually, I was surprised at how well Tim Kennedy, the former Army Ranger, was able to dictate the pace when they were, you know, battling on the ground. I'll give him that. Big props there. And then in the second, it was, you know, much of the same. They clinched and Kennedy got a takedown, and then from that point on, you know, Thompson gave up his back, and Kennedy rained down shots. Now, on replay, after that happened, you know, Thompson tapped out. He was complaining to the ref that they were to the back of the head, and on replay, they did look like those shots were to the back of the head. But I will give the ref the benefit of the doubt in this, you know, in the heat of battle and, you know, how fast-paced those punches came. You really couldn't tell, and it maybe slightly looked like it could have been, you know, to his side, but, you know, it was to the back of the head. So that's just an unfortunate thing, and, you know, I'm glad to hear that, you know, that in Nevada they're looking at bringing in instant replay. It's something I definitely think needs to be, you know, with just over the past two weeks of fights, you know, whether it was Cop versus Al Turk or this incident here. That's just something I think they need to bring in. Then, you know, we went to the main event, which was Smoke and Joey Villasenor versus Evangelista Cyborg Santos. Another good fight here. I enjoyed this fight, I have to say that. Really kept it to what you thought it would be. It was actually more technical than you'd think it would be first. You know, as Cyborg likes to throw a lot of punches and kicks, and Joey Villasenor as well, Smoke and Joey Villasenor with his, you know, power in his hands. But they, you know, worked it on the ground, and I would say Cyborg got the better of it, definitely enough to win the round. Then they kept it standing to where you think it would be. I gotta say, I believe I gave the second round to Villasenor. I thought he controlled the pace and did enough to win the round. He wasn't being blown out or anything like that, but just enough, like Cyborg was, but just enough for Villasenor to win the round. Then I gave the third round to Cyborg, as he was just, you know, he was still in there. He was, you know, hitting enough shots in there. That's just the way I scored it there. I gave the fight to Cyborg. It was tough to call. I'm not going to get too upset with the scores being a Villasenor victory. I mean, it was a split decision, I should say, so it's not something I'm going to complain about. It was 29-28 for Villasenor, 29-28 Cyborg, and 29-28 for Villasenor once again. So overall, it was a fun night of fights. But anyway, let's get to this aspect of it here. It's, of course, the TUF Live, Season 9 Live Finale on Spike. I've got to say, for a free night of fights, two really good fights. One fight that just should be fantastic in the main event of Clay Guida and Diego Nightmare Sanchez. So, anyways, let's get things going here. Nate Diaz versus Joe Stevenson. Now, both guys are coming off losses. Diaz is coming off the loss, of course, to at UFC 94, and Joe Stevenson is coming off a bunch of losses. He's lost 3 of his last 4, but then again, when you look at the competition he's lost to, you can't really fault the guy or say he's a bum, you know. He lost to BJ Penn, Kenny Florian, and then Diego Sanchez in a really competitive battle at UFC 95. How do I look at this one? I look at it a couple ways. I mean, Stevenson may be more relaxed now, not going up there with you know, so much pressure, you know, fighting for a chance at the title, fighting to get back in contention. He's just looking out there to get a win, which, you know, maybe easier said than done, but still, I think he's got a lot less pressure than he did in his other previous fights. Diaz, you know, that loss, it was a tough loss for him, but, you know, he was a game opponent to Clay Guida. You know, both these guys are good on the ground. Obviously, Diaz has the better jiu-jitsu in there. Stevenson has definitely the master of the guillotine choke. The real thing I'm going to have to, deciding factor I'm going to take it on is the fact that Cesar Grazie's jiu-jitsu has been on fire as of late. You know, whether it was those 2 wins from Nate's brother Nick against, you know, Frank Shamrock or Scott Smith, and, you know, Jake Shields getting that big victory against Robbie Lawler on the last Strikeforce show. But this is going to be a good fight. I mean, I think Diaz will definitely continue to pepper Stevenson with the type of style that his brother Nick likes to throw, you know, just little shots and then, you know, set you up for a big one. And if it goes to the ground, hey, I'm going to be there. My jiu-jitsu is really strong. So that's why I'm taking Nate Diaz. I think Joe has all the potential in the world, but I think that Nate's going to be able to keep the fight in close quarters if it goes to the ground and, you know, use his jiu-jitsu to get the victory. I'm going to say by decision. I don't know if I think he can pull off a submission, but I just think Stevenson's maybe too, I just see decision. That's just the way I'm looking at it. Then we go to the next fight. It's Chris Lytle versus Kevin Burns. You know, Kevin Burns, of course, coming off to that awesome, unfortunate for him, awesome head kick loss at the hands of Anthony Rumble Johnson. Chris Lytle lost his last bout as well, so both guys once again are looking for a win. The way I look at it is the fact that, you know, I don't think Kevin really wants to engage in a striking battle, as, you know, Chris Lytle has had some pro boxing experience, and plus that makes him a really good striker as well. But that's the way I look at it, and he's a lot more experience, you know, doing mixed martial arts. So that's why I'm going to take Chris Lytle either by TKO in the 2nd round. That's how I see this one going here. Burns, you know, he may want to take it to the ground to avoid the attempted striking. He's not really going to want to engage with Lytle, so that's the way I see it. All right, then we go to the first final of the Ultimate Fighter Season 9. It's the lightweights. It's Ross Pearson versus Andre Winner. To me, Pearson, you know, was a definite tough competitor. I believe he had that real tough fight with Jason Dent. Andre Winner may have had an easier path, but he may have made it look easier. You know, the way he got in here was beating Cameron Dollar. I think Cameron Dollar, you know, I don't like to shit on fighters, but I don't think Cameron Dollar was, you know, Ultimate Fighter or UFC ready. I don't know if he'll even be sticking around that long after this show. But really, I think Winner's just, you know, outclassing him. You know, I think he's better on the ground. You know, Pearson has some strong hands, and I think Winner realizes that. So I think he's just going to want to take it down. And, you know, if, you know, Pearson, you know, throws a takedown, Winner's capable enough to fight off his back. So that's why I'm taking Andre Winner. Andre Winner honestly looks like one of 2 fighters who I think could be successful. I'm happy to see him in the final there in the UFC. So I'm taking Andre Winner. Then we go to the next fight. It would be DeMarcus Johnson versus James Wilkes. DeMarcus Johnson, of course, the only guy from the United Team USA to be in a TUF final, and really he looked like the star of the show when it came to talent. Of course, that's my opinion here. But really, James Wilkes, you know, he had those 2 tough battles with Frank Lister. I think Frank Lister will also be sticking around with a contract. You know, he's a tough guy. He's a warrior. You know, just some more training with Dan Henderson, and he may be a real tough opponent there in the welterweight division. But still, this one, you look at it, I think, you know, Johnson's just too strong of a competitor. I think, you know, Wilkes brings a strong game. You know, they're both even in size. Skill set, I would definitely give maybe a slight edge to Johnson here. I think Johnson's just better in the stand-up battle. You know, the groundwork he really didn't seem to have. He had a bit of trouble against that Nick Ospezek, but I think, you know, over the time, you know, since those fights are obviously months ago, he's got some training going there. So that's why I'm taking Johnson. I think Wilkes would be a tough one, but I just think that Johnson's got some better skill set here. And then, of course, the main event of the evening, Diego Sanchez versus Clay the Carpenter Guida. Boy, if you saw them at the weigh-ins, wow, that just looked intense. This fight is going to be fireworks. Hell, it was freaking fireworks at the weigh-ins yesterday, so really looking forward to this fight. Guida likes to make every to a wrestling match. He likes to use his, you know, unique style and try to bully his opponent around. I don't think he's going to be able to do that, though, with Sanchez, because Sanchez, one, he's bigger. You know, he's coming from welterweight now down to lightweight. You know, happy to see he was able to make the weight once again. So I think he's going to be a real good guy in the lightweight division. And obviously this fight has, you know, #1 contendership after the Florian Penn fight, UFC 101. So that's something that I think is really important here. That we need to play into a factor there. Like I said, in Diego's style, he likes to, you know, push the pace as well. So both guys like to do that. I think just because Sanchez is bigger, he's going to have to do that. If Guida gets a takedown, that's going to be something he's going to want to capitalize on, you know, either raining down punches. He's not really going to pull off a submission, more so. I mean, he definitely has ability, but he likes to rain down punches. Sanchez has, you know, his weakness has been fighting off the back more so than anything. But I just think, you know, Sanchez is just going to be too big and, you know, too shocking, or not shocking, but push the pace too much, you know, use his skill set, you know, throw some takedown defense in there. I think he's got, you know, that aspect of in there. So that's why I'm taking Diego Sanchez by decision. I don't think that Guida's gonna get a, you know, a TKO or a submission in here, so that's why I'm taking it. I think this should be a great main event, and, you know, some good, obviously the Stevenson versus Diaz fight as well should be good. I guess really running short here on time. I'll try and make a video tomorrow on those topics that I'm talking about. With this card, won't be able to see it live, but I'll catch the replay, and I'll be doing live, or not live, but after reports of that on my Twitter account. I'll put the link in the description box as well for tomorrow's TNA Slammiversary pay-per-view. I'll be doing live updates on there as well. But anyways, that's it for me. I'm out. Peace.